Hi, welcome to MediatorPodcast.com, a podcast and video series about mediation, negotiation, and collaboration. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I provide online valuation, divorce, and mediation services in St. Louis, Missouri. In this week's episode, we are going to discuss, do you have what it takes to be a mediator? With Kimberly Best. She's a registered nurse, mediator, and conflict coach based in Franklin, Tennessee. She's also authored the book of How to Live Forever, a guide to writing the final chapter of your life story. Also, as our guest is Elliot Herland, a mediator focused on workers' compensation cases based in Minneapolis. He's also the vice chair of the ABA section of dispute resolution in the membership committee. Welcome, Kim and Elliot. I think also, part of it is a personality. Part of it is, do you have what it takes to be a mediator? Is it involves some skills. And so what are some of the skills that you've seen? Because after we talk about some of the skills, I think then we can talk about like training and other things that people could actually get into it. But what have you seen, even in yourself, that's been one of the best things that has made you successful in this space? Maybe we'll start with Kim.
Melissa, I want to address your divorce mediation first, if I could. When I started in mediation, my goal, I told myself I would not do divorce mediation. I would try to get people before they got that far down the road, because I believe the tools that are used in mediation are skills that build communication between those two people, right? So I try not to do, I try to keep my people together for mediations as much as possible. So joint sessions. But I wanted the opportunity to be able to have people try to resolve their conflicts and see if their marriage or relationship, if it's not marriage, could be saved. And indeed, it's hard to find clients willing to do that, but indeed it does work. Mm-hmm. And at the very least, to have the conversation so they maintain some type of a relationship that helps them raise their kids together when kids are involved. So I just, hats off to you for doing that kind of work, especially collaborative, because I think part of our children are suffering because of the acrimony of litigation and how we do divorce now. And offering an option different to that is where I started with my passion.
Well, and psychologically, I think you're right on target. Psychologically, after doing almost 20 years of divorce, if I really identify the top reasons why people get divorced, number one, people would not imagine, it's communication.
That's exactly
it's then
right.
Communication about money, about romantic relationships, about your kids, but it's always stemming from communication.
That's right.
So it makes sense that people would need that. And maybe if they did start sooner and they could learn how to communicate around those things, they wouldn't get it onto the brink, but who knows?
Exactly what you talked about when you said different definitions of mediation. There are different ways to do mediation, and using it to strengthen relationships, to set a roadmap for how people come together and communicate, is sort of catching the conflict in an earlier form. So the beauty of mediation, and I think people in the public, at least the ones I encounter, when they hear mediation, they either think of things like Elliot's for work inside of corporations and companies, labor reasons, or divorce reasons, and not the breadth of the possibility for mediation in just resolving conflicts at any level. Yeah.
And
the difference there, it all involves relationships, but I've always found that broken bones heal quicker than broken hearts, and it's easier to talk about those types of relationships than the intimate relationship involved in a divorce. But as far as skills go, I think it's very important for the mediator to know their place. What I mean by that is letting the parties know, I'm not a judge. I'm not here to weigh evidence. hear testimony, make decisions, tell people what to do. I'm here to facilitate that conversation, provide guidance, but you have to have a perspective on that in knowing that this is their mediation. It's not my mediation. It's not our mediation. And so that's important that they understand and have some responsibility in the process. When they have ownership in the outcome of their mediation, it tends to improve the odds of a successful settlement of the case. The other thing I think, and we may all want to discuss this, is being present without being the smartest person in the room, because you want those attorneys to be the smartest people in the room. Another relationship is the attorney-client relationship, and that's very important to understand that and let them have the spotlight in front of their clients. But listening, perceiving body language, all of those things need to be in place for a skill set. And the other thing is to be humble. And that means accepting that you're going to make mistakes. Perfection is impossible. It's not going to happen. And if you think you're going to be perfect, you're going to be disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I've seen some mediation in divorce that usually you have a spouse that is not controlling the money, and you have a spouse that knows everything about the money and or their whole lives, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have kind of a meeker spouse. It doesn't necessarily have to be a woman or man. It's just it's the role they play. Mm-hmm. And what happens in the mediation is at the beginning, they're like, well, just tell me what I should do. Just tell me what I should take. Like, tell me if that's okay. Is that a good deal? I don't know. And at the end, usually, and I have a situation right now at the end that they're like, well, I'm going to do this. Well, I would agree to that. Well, that's a very different way of communicating. They now are more educated about the situation. They now have taken their own control of what they want out of the situation. And they're no longer saying to the mediator, just tell me what to do. And so it really is an empowering, system, but it also is because it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight. And during that process, you grow on how you communicate, if you co-parent and all of that. And any mediation like Kim's doing or Elliot's doing, Kim's dealing with families, another prime space where they have hard times communication, from the past issues or whatever.